Usually when we talk about a medical diagnosis, there's this expectation of clinical precision.
Right. Yeah. Like it's an exact science.
Exactly. It's almost like engineering. You break your arm, you go to the hospital, and the X-ray shows that jagged white line on the screen. And the doctor just points the pen at it and says, there it is. There is the problem.
Right. It's binary. It's totally visible. You are dealing with a closed system where cause and effect are immediately apparent.
But you step into the holiday season, and that X-ray machine just shatters.
Oh, completely.
I mean, we are talking about the next 8 weeks for you guys listening. Thanksgiving right through to New Year's Day.
It's a lot.
It is a nonstop marathon. You've got office parties, family dinners, cocktails, late-night eating. And suddenly, if you're trying to figure out why you feel terrible or why your body composition is changing,
you're not looking at a clean, broken bone anymore.
You're right. You are entering an 8-week biological trap.
It is the absolute definition of diagnostic muddy waters because, you aren't dealing with one single variable.
No, not at all.
You are navigating a really complex, constantly shifting web of hormonal disruptions, environmental triggers, and immense psychological stressors, and they all compound on one another.
And that is exactly why we're doing this deep dive today for you, because the standard advice you hear this time of year is just, wow, it's so completely inadequate.
It really is. It's usually just, watch your portions.
Write your portions, or try to fit in a quick workout. But we were digging through some phenomenal research and protocols put together by the team over at the Ultimate Human platform.
Yeah, their stuff is fantastic.
It really is. And their thesis completely flips this on its head. So today, we're going to dismantle the myth that holiday weight gain is just a matter of eating too much pie.
Which is what everyone thinks.
Exactly. And we're going to give you the exact science-backed protocol to hack your metabolism so you can actually enjoy the season.
Right, without spending the first quarter of the new year in recovery mode.
Because no one wants that.
No, they don't. And that is the paradox we really need to resolve today, because my core belief is that knowledge is only truly valuable when you can apply it to your actual life.
Right. Application is everything.
Exactly. You shouldn't have to choose between showing up for the people you love, participating in these deep cultural and family traditions, and feeling good in your own skin.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an either-or situation.
It's not. You can have both, but only if you understand the biological rules of engagement.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the very first rule of engagement we have to rewrite is this deeply ingrained idea of calories in, calories out.
Oh, the classic checking account myth.
Right. We are taught from a very young age that human metabolism is essentially a checking account. If you step on the scale on January 2nd and the number is higher, the math says, well, you simply deposited too many calories.
Yeah.
But looking at the data, that is just fundamentally untrue, isn't it?
It is a vast oversimplification. Honestly, it borders on being practically useless in this context.
Wow, useless.
Pretty much. I mean, yes, thermodynamics matter, but your body is not a calculator. It is a highly advanced chemistry lab.
A chemistry lab, I like that.
And during these 8 weeks, you are introducing specific inputs that fundamentally alter the operating system of that lab.
Okay, so give me an example of how that works.
Well, you can be eating the exact same number of calories, but if the hormonal environment of your body has shifted, those calories are going to be processed, partitioned, and stored in a completely different way.
And the input that shifts that environment faster and more aggressively than anything else, the one that nobody really wants to talk about,
is alcohol.
Yeah.
It's alcohol.
We have to talk about it because most people are operating completely in the dark regarding how much alcohol works against them on a purely cellular level.
Right.
When you consume alcohol, your body does not treat it like a carbohydrate, a fat, or a protein. It does not look at it as a fuel source at all.
It recognizes it as a toxin, a literal toxin, because biologically speaking, ethanol is a poison.
I'm stuck on something here, though. Let's look at it through the lens of the person who is really trying to be disciplined for you listening.
Okay, sure.
If I'm at an office party and I know I shouldn't be drinking eggnog or, heavy beers.
Right, the calorie bombs.
Exactly. So I opt for a clear vodka with club soda and squeeze of lime. That's what, maybe 90 or 100 calories?
Yeah, around there.
How can a 100-calorie drink cause me to put on weight the next day? The math just doesn't add up.
Because you are still looking at the checking account. And you need to look at the chemistry lab.
Okay.
The liver doesn't care about the 100 calories. It cares about the ethanol. When ethanol enters your bloodstream, it goes straight to the liver, and your liver initiates a massive emergency response.
Like a red alert.
Exactly. It utilizes an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase to convert that ethanol into a compound called acetaldehyde.
Which is actually even more toxic than the alcohol itself, right?
Yeah. Way more toxic. Acetaldehyde is highly reactive, so your liver says, we have a highly dangerous compound in the system, drop everything else until this is cleared.
Drop everything.
Everything. Now, one of the liver's primary daily functions is beta oxidation.
Which is the biochemical term for burning fat.
Right. But to process the acetaldehyde, your liver has to convert it into acetate. This entire chemical conversion process massively shifts the ratio of specific coenzymes in your liver.
NAD plus and NADH,
Yeah.
if I remember the ultimate human stuff correctly.
Exactly. I won't drag us too deep into the biochemistry weeds here, but the result of this shift is that beta oxidation is chemically blocked.
Okay, wait, I love a good visual for this.
Let's hear it.
It's like a kitchen catching on fire while you're meal prepping.
Oh, that's good.
You have this whole plan, you're chopping vegetables, which in this case is our liver-burning fat.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment the curtains catch fire, which is the alcohol entering the system, you have to drop the knife.
You have to.
You have to grab the extinguisher. You cannot go back to chopping vegetables until the fire is completely out and the smoke is cleared.
What's fascinating here is that that is a perfect visualization. The fat-burning freeze is absolute.
It just stops.
Totally stops. The acetate floods your mitochondria, and your cells will burn that acetate for energy before they even think about touching your stored body fat.
Wow.
So going back to your 100-calorie vodka soda example,
Right.
it isn't about the 100 calories in the glass. It is about the fact that drinking 2 or 3 of those over a 4-hour party institutes a complete physiological lockdown on fat burning.
So for the rest of the night,
For the next several hours,
oh, yeah.
anything else you eat at that party, the cheese, the crackers, the appetizers, is significantly more likely to be stored as fat.
Because your body's fat-burning furnace has been turned off to deal with the fire.
Precisely.
What's terrifying about that is how casual it is. We think of a toxin emergency as, alcohol poisoning.
Right, ending up in the hospital.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're saying 2 or 3 casual drinks over a whole evening is enough to shut down the system.
Completely shut it down. And the consequences of that metabolic lockdown do not end when the alcohol finally leaves your bloodstream.
The damage cascades, doesn't it?
It cascades right into the night, which affects the entire next day.
Okay, so let's follow that timeline. The party ends, the liver works overtime, and let's say I stop drinking by 9 p.m.
Okay.
The ethanol clears my system. Am I back in the clear by midnight when I'm sleeping?
Chemically, the alcohol might be gone. Neurologically, the damage is just starting.
Oh boy.
Let's talk about what happens when you close your eyes. Because the secondary effect of the holiday cocktail is the complete destruction of your sleep architecture.
But the immediate pushback from almost everyone listening is, well, alcohol helps me sleep.
Everyone says that.
Right. I have a glass of wine, my head hits the pillow, and I am out cold.
And that is the greatest deception of alcohol. It acts as a central nervous system depressant. It amplifies a neurotransmitter called GABA, which is inhibitory. It slows your brain down.
So it does work as a sedative.
Yes, it functions as a sedative, helping you lose consciousness faster. But sedation is not sleep.
Sedation is not sleep. That is a huge distinction.
It is huge. Sleep is a highly active, highly structured, cyclical process of neurological and physical repair. When you have alcohol in your system, you might be unconscious, but your brain is blocked from entering slow-wave sleep and REM sleep.
Because the brain is fighting the sedative.
Exactly. Your brain recognizes that its central nervous system is being artificially depressed by the alcohol.
It senses the danger.
Right. So to keep you alive and breathing, it creates a counter-response. It floods your system with glutamate, which is an excitatory neurotransmitter.
It's stepping on the gas pedal to counteract the brake.
Yes.
Ah, so that's the rebound effect.
You got it.
That is exactly why you wake up at 3 a.m. after a night of drinking. Your heart is racing, your mind is racing, and you cannot get back to sleep.
Yep. The alcohol wears off, but the glutamate is still flooring the gas pedal.
That is so wild.
It really is. You spend the rest of the night in fragmented, shallow, low-quality sleep. You miss out entirely on the deep restorative cycles.
And when you miss out on that specific type of sleep,
You initiate a hormonal catastrophe that perfectly sets you up to fail the next day.
and this is where the research from the Ultimate Human team really blew my mind.
It's incredible data.
It really is. Because it connects the bad sleep directly to the terrible food choices the next morning. They highlight 2 specific hormones that get completely thrown off balance.
Ghrelin and leptin.
Yes, ghrelin and leptin.
This is the biological mechanism behind the hangover hunger. Let's look at ghrelin first.
Okay.
Ghrelin is your hunger hormone. It is primarily produced in the stomach, and its job is to signal your hypothalamus that you need energy.
Compelling you to eat.
Exactly. When you are deprived of slow-wave sleep, your body registers a profound lack of energy recovery.
So as a survival mechanism, the stomach just ramps up ghrelin production.
The signal gets incredibly loud.
So your body is essentially screaming, we didn't get our energy batteries charged through sleep, so we have to get it through massive amounts of food.
Yes, but it gets worse.
Of course it does.
At the exact same time your ghrelin is spiking, your leptin is plummeting.
And leptin is the satiety signal.
Right. It's a hormone produced by your fat cells. It tells your brain, we have plenty of stored energy. You are full. You can put the fork down.
But the sleep deprivation messes with that.
Sleep deprivation essentially causes acute leptin resistance in the brain. The signal just doesn't get through.
So what does this all mean? It means a few drinks on Friday night don't just add calories on Friday.
No.
They chemically hijack your appetite on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
The brake line is cut and the gas pedal is glued to the floor.
You are being hit from both sides. You wake up hungrier because of the ghrelin, and you will not feel satisfied by the food you do eat because of the lack of leptin.
Your body is biologically driven to overconsume.
Exactly.
Think about how validating this is to hear for you listening.
It's huge.
If you wake up on a Saturday morning after a holiday party and you have zero willpower,
And you just want carbs.
right, you are craving heavy carbohydrate-rich foods, bagels, breakfast sandwiches, pastries, you usually feel like it's a moral failing.
People beat themselves up over
They
it.
sit there feeling guilty, thinking they just lacked discipline. But it's not a lack of willpower.
Not at all.
It is a predictable chemical cascade that was initiated by a few drinks the night before. You are operating a biochemically hijacked vehicle.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this hormonal vulnerability perfectly sets the stage for the next trap.
Oh, the party food.
Because when you wake up in that chemically hijacked state, with your ghrelin raging and your brain desperate for quick energy, what kind of food are you immediately surrounded by during the holidays?
The engineered enemy.
Ultra-processed foods.
You walk into any gathering, any office break room, any family kitchen from mid-November to January, and the landscape is covered in them.
Everywhere you look.
Chips, crackers, cookies, cakes, fried appetizers, those little breaded cheese things. It is a literal minefield.
We need to elevate the discourse here beyond just calling these foods unhealthy or junk food.
What do you mean?
We need to understand what ultra-processed foods actually are from a structural standpoint. These are products of intense food engineering.
Right, they aren't just made in the kitchen.
They are designed in laboratories to achieve two things: maximum shelf stability and maximum palatability.
When you say maximum palatability, we aren't just talking about a good recipe, are we? We are talking about manipulating the food matrix itself.
Yes. Think about the physical structure of a whole food.
Okay, like an apple.
Right, an apple or a piece of broccoli or a steak. They have a dense, intact cellular structure. They have a fibrous matrix.
Mm-hmm.
When you eat them, your body has to do a massive amount of mechanical and chemical work to break those structures down and extract the calories.
So it takes time.
It takes a lot of time. It stretches your stomach, which sends fullness signals to the brain. It causes a slow, steady release of nutrients into the bloodstream.
But the ultra-processed food has already done that work for you.
Exactly. In a manufacturing plant, they strip away the fiber, they pulverize the cellular structures, and they create a product that essentially melts in your mouth.
So you don't even really have to chew it.
Barely. The gastric emptying rate, which is how fast the food moves from your stomach to your small intestine, is incredibly rapid.
Wow.
Because it requires almost zero digestive effort. The calories cross the gut barrier and hit your bloodstream like a tidal wave.
And the brain's reaction to that tidal wave is what really locks in the addiction.
That's the dopamine hit.
Yeah, I was looking at the research compiled on this, and they talk extensively about dopamine because the body doesn't just absorb this food. The brain intensely rewards you for eating it.
From an evolutionary perspective, human beings evolved in an environment where calories were scarce.
Right, we had to hunt and forage.
So our brains developed a reward system. When you find dense, easily digestible energy, the brain releases dopamine.
A neurotransmitter that makes you feel incredible.
So it says, do that again. That keeps us alive. But our evolutionary biology never anticipated a highly engineered holiday cookie.
No, definitely didn't.
A cookie that perfectly balances salt, sugar, and fat while requiring zero chewing.
It's a supernormal stimulus,
It is. It hits the brain's reward center significantly harder than whole foods ever could.
which is why you can't just eat one.
And because your dopamine receptors get flooded, they eventually downregulate, meaning you need more and more of the ultra-processed food to get the same feeling of satisfaction.
This perfectly explains a fascinating study I found while diving into this topic for the episode. It was conducted by Kevin Hall at the NIH.
Oh, metabolic ward study, yes.
And it is honestly mind-blowing. They took people and locked them in a metabolic ward so they controlled 100% of their food.
Right.
They gave them 2 different diets, one made of whole foods, one made of ultra-processed foods. But, and this is the crazy part, they matched the macronutrients exactly.
Yep.
The ultra-processed diet had the exact same amount of carbs, fat, protein, and sugar as the whole food diet.
The variables were completely controlled.
Completely controlled. And the participants were told, just eat as much or as little as you want.
And what happened?
When they were on the ultra-processed diet, they naturally consumed about 500 calories more per day than when they were on the whole food diet.
500 calories?
500 calories, even though the nutritional makeup was supposedly identical.
And that is the critical insight. The food itself drives the overconsumption.
That's insane.
The physical structure of the ultra-processed food, the lack of a fibrous matrix, the rapid gastric emptying, the massive dopamine spike, all of these factors compel the individual to eat more, regardless of the nutritional math on the label.
But if I'm at an office party, that's literally all there is. Are we supposed to just stare at the wall? I mean, this is the perfect storm of the holiday gauntlet.
It is a meticulously designed trap.
You have a few drinks, which shuts down your liver's fat burning and destroys your sleep architecture. The destroyed sleep triggers a massive spike in your hunger hormone ghrelin. You walk into a party biochemically starving, and the environment presents you with engineered foods that lack a physical matrix, hit your bloodstream instantly, and cause a dopamine surge that overrides your natural fullness signals.
You are fighting biology with willpower, and biology always wins.
I am feeling stressed just talking about this.
Which actually brings up a huge point.
Stress.
Yes. Beyond the food and beyond the alcohol, there is an invisible weight to the holidays. A psychological element that we absolutely cannot avoid.
The stress of the season.
I don't care how much you love the season or how organized you are. The holidays are inherently stressful. It is a massive deviation from your baseline routine.
Oh, entirely. I mean, think about it. You are juggling travel delays, you are sleeping in guest beds, you are navigating incredibly complex family dynamics at the dinner table.
All of that.
Add the financial pressure of gift buying and the fact that most people are trying to wrap up massive end-of-year deadlines at work before they log off. It is a multi-layered pressure cooker.
And we tend to think of stress as an abstract, emotional thing.
Like it's just in our heads.
Right. We think it just exists in our minds, but that psychological pressure cooker translates into a very real, very aggressive physiological response.
The activation of the HPA axis?
Yes. The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis.
Okay, break that down for us.
When your brain perceives stress, whether that's a physical threat like a predator or an emotional threat like an argument with your in-laws.
Sometimes they feel like the same thing.
Fair point. The hypothalamus sends a signal to your pituitary gland, which sends a signal to your adrenal glands telling them to pump out cortisol.
Cortisol is your primary stress hormone.
Yes. In short bursts, it is highly beneficial. It mobilizes glucose into your bloodstream so you have the energy to fight or flee.
But the problem is, we aren't fleeing from predators.
Yeah.
We are sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
And the stress doesn't last for 10 minutes. It hums in the background for 8 solid weeks.
Exactly. You enter a state of chronic stress, which keeps your cortisol elevated constantly.
And what does that do?
Chronically elevated cortisol does some highly specific and highly destructive things to your body composition. Firstly, it actively promotes fat storage.
But not just any fat.
Right. It specifically promotes the storage of visceral fat.
Let me pause you there, because why would it do that? Why does cortisol care where the fat goes?
Because of evolutionary biology. Deep inside your abdomen, wrapped around your vital organs, is your visceral fat.
Okay.
This fat tissue has a significantly higher density of glucocorticoid receptors, the receptors that cortisol binds to, than the subcutaneous fat that sits just under your skin.
Interesting.
When the body senses chronic stress, it assumes a long, hard winter or a famine is coming.
It's prepping for the worst.
It says we are in danger. We need to pack emergency energy right next to the vital organs to protect them and keep them functioning.
So cortisol chemically directs the calories you eat straight to your belly.
Straight to the visceral fat.
So the mere act of stressing out over a delayed flight or a work deadline is chemically instructing your body to build a spare tire.
Yes. But the second effect of cortisol is arguably more damaging to a person's mindset during the holidays.
What's that?
High cortisol alters your renal system. It interacts with a hormone called aldosterone, which signals your kidneys to hold on to sodium.
And wherever sodium goes, water follows.
Exactly. High cortisol causes massive systemic water retention and inflammation.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This is the scale illusion.
The scale illusion.
This is something the ultimate human researchers emphasized heavily, and I think it is the most crucial psychological reframe for anyone listening.
It is a game changer.
Think about this extremely common scenario for you guys. You have a highly stressful week leading up to Christmas. You fly across the country. You sleep terribly. You are stressed out.
Very normal.
You haven't even eaten that poorly. But you step on the scale in your childhood bathroom, and the number is up 5 pounds.
And what is the immediate psychological reaction?
Utter despair.
Of course.
You think, I've gained 5 pounds of fat in 4 days. My diet is ruined. All the hard work I did at the gym this year is just gone.
Yep.
And that despair triggers the infamous what the hell effect. You figure, well, I've already ruined it. The damage is done. I might as well eat the entire tin of peppermint bark.
You just throw in the towel.
You throw the towel in for the rest of December.
Exactly. When in reality, it is physiologically impossible to synthesize 5 pounds of adipose fat tissue in a matter of days.
Wait, really? Impossible.
Impossible. To build 5 pounds of fat, you would have to consume roughly 17,500 extra calories above your baseline metabolic rate.
That's a lot of peppermint bark.
Unless you're drinking melted butter with every meal, you did not do that.
So what are we actually seeing on the scale?
You are seeing stress-induced water retention. You are looking at inflammation. You are literally just weighing the physical manifestation of your cortisol spike.
The scale is lying to you.
The scale is lying to you about your body composition. If you can understand the biology of that, if you can recognize that the scale went up because of aldosterone and water hoarding, not fat gain pay, you can avoid the what the hell trap.
That is so empowering.
You can take a breath, return to your healthy baseline, lower your cortisol, and watch that water weight flush out of your system in a matter of days.
That perspective shift alone changes the entire season. Just knowing that the deck is stacked, that alcohol blocks the fat burning, processed foods bypass your fullness signals, and cortisol hoards water, it removes the guilt.
Guilt is useless here.
It is not a personal moral failure. It is a biological reality of the season.
And once you accept that biological reality, you can stop fighting blindly. You can step out of the victim mindset and start deploying targeted countermeasures. Which brings us to the protocol, the actionable armor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's pivot to the defense. Because this is how we hack the gauntlet. And the very first step in this defensive protocol starts in your kitchen, before you even leave your house for the party.
Strategic hydration.
Strategic hydration. Talk to us about that.
We need to mandate hard hydration before, during, and after these holiday events. And we are not talking about casually sipping a glass of water with dinner.
No.
The protocol dictates drinking a full, large bottle of water before you even walk through the door of the gathering.
It's like laying down a protective tarp before you start painting a room. You're filling the tank with water so there's less room and less craving for the junk.
Yes, there is a mechanical benefit. The physical distension of the stomach from a large volume of water actually triggers stretch receptors in the stomach wall.
Stretch receptors?
Yeah. These stretch receptors send a signal up the vagus nerve to the brain, contributing to a feeling of early satiety. You literally feel fuller before you even see the food.
That's a great physical hack.
But we are looking for a deeper cellular advantage here. We aren't just talking about tap water. We need to mineralize it.
Right, because drinking too much plain water just flushes right through you. The ultimate human protocol specifically mentions adding electrolytes, like a high-quality sea salt or Baja Gold.
Baja Gold is excellent.
Why is that distinction so important?
Because of cellular osmolarity.
Okay, here we go with the big words.
I'll keep it simple. Your body is composed of trillions of cells, and those cells require a precise balance of sodium and potassium to maintain their electrical gradients and draw water inside.
Inside the cell.
Right. If you just chug a liter of plain mineral-stripped tap water, it stays in the extracellular space. Your blood volume increases, your kidneys sense the imbalance, and you just pee it out.
So you drank all that water, but you're still dehydrated.
You remain cellularly dehydrated. By adding high-quality electrolytes, you activate the sodium-potassium pumps, pulling that water into the cells. True hydration happens inside the cell.
And when the cells are actually hydrated, the cravings vanish.
Completely.
It is wild how often we misinterpret our body's signals. A massive percentage of the time, when you get a sudden, intense craving for something sweet, or you think you are starving at 4 p.m., you are actually just dehydrated.
Thirst masquerading as hunger. The signals for thirst and hunger originate in very close proximity in the hypothalamus, and the neural wiring easily gets crossed.
So by forcing that intracellular hydration before the event, you might walk past the dessert table and realize the craving just isn't there.
It gives you your power back.
But there is another piece of this pregame armor that fascinated me. The protocol mentions adding molecular hydrogen, specifically H2 tablets, to the water.
Yes, H2 tablets.
What is molecular hydrogen actually doing?
Molecular hydrogen is one of the most incredible biological tools we have. It acts as a highly selective antioxidant.
Selective antioxidant.
Now, we often hear that antioxidants are good, but the truth is, your body actually needs some oxidative stress.
Wait, really? We need it?
We do. Certain reactive oxygen species, like nitric oxide, act as crucial signaling molecules for vasodilation and immune function.
Oh, I see.
If you take massive doses of traditional antioxidants, like high-dose vitamin E, you can actually blunt these beneficial signals.
And throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. But molecular hydrogen is tiny. It's the smallest molecule in the universe.
Wow.
It diffuses rapidly across cell membranes and crosses the blood-brain barrier. And it is selective. It specifically targets and neutralizes only the most toxic, damaging free radicals in the body, primarily the hydroxyl radical, while leaving the beneficial signaling molecules completely intact.
So by taking molecular hydrogen before you walk into the party, you are proactively sending in a cleanup crew.
A very precise cleanup crew.
You know, the alcohol and the ultra-processed vegetable oils are going to cause massive inflammation and free radical damage. So you are giving your body a biological shield to neutralize the toxins the moment they enter the system.
You are mitigating the cellular damage before you even take a single bite. And as you progress through the event, you keep drinking water.
Keeping the stretch receptors active.
It maintains that stomach stretch receptor activation, and it actively aids your liver and kidneys in processing the heavy inputs you are consuming.
Okay, so we are armored up, we are at the event, but let's be real. You are still going to sit down and enjoy a large traditional holiday meal.
Of course you are.
It's going to be heavy, and it's going to be loaded with carbohydrates, mashed potatoes, stuffing, dinner rolls, pie.
And that introduces our next biological hurdle.
The insulin dump.
The inevitable insulin dump.
Walk us through the mechanics of this, because I think everyone knows the feeling of the food coma, but they don't understand the chemistry of why they suddenly feel like they need to sleep under the dining room table.
It's a brutal feeling. When you eat a massive carbohydrate-rich meal, your digestive system breaks those carbs down into glucose, which floods into your bloodstream.
Blood sugar spikes.
Dramatically. Now, elevated blood sugar is highly toxic to your blood vessels. It's like tiny shards of glass running through your veins.
Ouch.
Your body knows this is an emergency.
So the pancreas has to step in.
Exactly. If you follow the standard holiday tradition, which is eating until you are completely stuffed and then immediately migrating to the couch to sit horizontally,
Guilty as charged.
that glucose is just stagnating in your blood. Because you are not expending any energy, the cells don't need the sugar.
Right.
So your pancreas has to panic. It initiates a massive first-phase insulin response. It dumps a huge surge of insulin into your blood to aggressively force those cell doors open and shove the glucose inside, mostly converting it into stored fat just to get it out of the bloodstream.
And what goes up must come crashing down.
That massive surge of insulin works too well. It clears the sugar out so rapidly that your blood sugar plummets below baseline.
And that's the crash.
That reactive hypoglycemia, that crash, is the food coma. You feel lethargic, heavy, bloated, and exhausted because your brain is suddenly deprived of stable energy.
So how do we hack this? What is the immediate countermeasure?
This raises an important question, right? About how small actions can change hormones. The countermeasure is remarkably simple, completely free, and incredibly powerful.
Which is?
A 10 to 15-minute walk immediately after the meal.
Let me play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
If I'm walking for just 10 minutes, my heart rate barely goes up, I'm just strolling down the sidewalk, am I really burning that much sugar? It doesn't seem like enough exercise to make a dent in a giant plate of mashed potatoes.
It's not about burning calories through cardiovascular exertion.
It's not.
No.
It is about mechanical receptor activation and a specific cellular pathway in your muscles. Your skeletal muscles, particularly in your legs, are the largest sinks for glucose in your entire body.
Okay, I follow.
When you sit on the couch, the only way glucose can get into those muscle cells is if insulin unlocks the door. But walking changes the lock.
Precisely. When you walk, the muscle fibers slide past each other. This mechanical contraction activates an enzyme called AMPK.
AMP-activated protein kinase.
Yes. When AMPK is activated by muscle contraction, it triggers a process called GLUT4 translocation.
GLUT4 translocation.
The GLUT4 transporters move to the surface of the cell and literally pull glucose out of the bloodstream and into the muscle without needing insulin.
Wait, hold on. That is incredible. So the muscle contraction acts as a bypass valve. It completely circumvents the pancreas.
Exactly. You are siphoning the sugar right out of the blood through mechanical movement.
That's a superpower.
It really is. The result is that your blood sugar curve flattens out. It comes down much faster in a highly controlled manner.
And no insulin dump.
Because the sugar is dropping naturally, your pancreas doesn't have to release that massive panic-induced tidal wave of insulin. You bypass the fat storage emergency, you prevent the massive blood sugar crash, and you avoid the heavy, bloated food coma entirely.
Just to translate this into the reality of a family gathering for you guys listening.
Yeah, let's keep it practical.
We aren't talking about throwing on spandex and doing a high-intensity workout in your holiday sweater. Don't overthink it. Just grab your coat, grab a cousin or your spouse, and take a 10-minute stroll around the neighborhood.
Look at the holiday lights.
Exactly. Look at the lights. You are literally flipping a metabolic switch at the cellular level to override a negative hormonal response.
It is arguably the most powerful evidence-based tool you have at your disposal.
All right, so we've pre-hydrated with our electrolytes and hydrogen, we've eaten the meal, and we've taken our post-meal walk to blunt the insulin spike.
We're doing great so far.
But the party isn't over. We have to talk about damage control for the late-night reality of these gatherings.
The dangerous hours.
The drinks keep flowing, the midnight snacks come out, and time gets away from us. We need rules of engagement for the end of the night. We need curfews.
Curfews are essential to surviving the 8-week gauntlet. And we have to start with the alcohol strategy.
Right, going back to what we talked about earlier.
Because as we established, ethanol is the prime disruptor of sleep and fat burning. The non-negotiable rule is keep alcohol away from bedtime.
So if you're going to indulge, you need to front-load it.
Yes. You have your drinks early in the evening and you set a hard cap for yourself. The pharmacokinetics of alcohol clearance operate on what we call zero-order kinetics.
Zero-order kinetics, meaning what?
Meaning your liver can only process a fixed amount of alcohol per hour, regardless of how much you drink.
Oh, so you can't rush it.
You cannot speed it up by drinking coffee or taking a cold shower. You simply have to give your liver ample time to process and expel the toxin before you attempt to transition into sleep.
Because the closer the ethanol is to your bedtime, the more severe that GABA and glutamate rebound is going to be.
Exactly. And as we detailed with the ghrelin and leptin cascade, destroying your sleep is the fastest way to derail your metabolic progress for the entire subsequent week.
When I was reviewing the Ill-Time Human research, they included a highly tactical rule here that I think is brilliant.
Which one?
Bookend your drinks with water. 1 large glass of mineralized water, 1 cocktail, 1 large glass of water.
Oh, yes. The bookend method.
It physically slows your consumption rate, keeps you hydrated, and buys your liver time to keep up with the zero-order kinetics.
It's very smart.
But there's also a really important psychological caveat they mention. If you have a night where things get out of hand and you drink more than you planned, or you drink too late.
Do not beat yourself up.
Exactly. Do not beat yourself up.
That grace is vital, scientifically speaking, because one night of heavy drinking or one massive binge on holiday cookies is not going to ruin your health or cause measurable fat gain.
Because it's isolated.
Right. The human body is remarkably resilient to acute, isolated stressors. It's the pattern that buries you.
The pattern.
It is the pattern of drinking multiple nights a week combined with chronic late-night eating and compounded sleep deprivation that fundamentally rewires your biology.
And speaking of late-night eating, the curfew protocol applies heavily there too.
It does. You need to establish a hard stop on eating 2 to 3 hours before you plan to go to sleep.
Which is incredibly hard when you are at a party that is still raging at 11 p.m. and someone pulls a fresh tray of warm cookies out of the oven.
It requires discipline, yes. But if you understand the biological why, it becomes easier to say no.
So what's the why?
Digestion is an incredibly energy-intensive thermogenic process. Breaking down food requires massive blood flow to the gut, it increases your heart rate, and crucially, it raises your core body temperature.
And temperature's the trigger for sleep, isn't it?
Precisely. In order for your brain to initiate the transition into deep, slow-wave sleep, your core body temperature must drop by about 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit.
So if your gut is acting like a furnace,
Churning through a plate of late-night cookies,
your core temperature stays elevated.
your body physically cannot transition into the parasympathetic rest and digest state required for cellular repair.
It's like trying to force a laptop to go to sleep while it's still rendering a massive 4K video file in the background. The fans are spinning, the processor is hot. It just won't shut down properly.
That's a great analogy. That's exactly it. When you give your body that 2 to 3 hour window to clear the digestive backlog, you allow the furnace to cool down.
And then your core temperature drops.
Right. You allow the body to shift its vast resources away from breaking down food and towards neurological and cellular repair.
Which means you wake up feeling vastly better. Your hunger hormones stay balanced, and crucially, because your insulin levels have dropped, your body can actually enter a fat-burning state overnight.
So the overarching theme of all this late-night damage control is protecting your sleep sanctum.
The sleep sanctum.
The sleep sanctum must be protected at all costs. I say this often. You cannot supplement, diet, or exercise your way out of chronic poor sleep.
No amount of green juice is going to save you.
There is no green juice, no cold plunge, and no antioxidant pill on earth that can replace the profound hormonal repair of a deeply structured night of sleep.
So you have to keep your foundational habits consistent.
Even amidst the chaos of the holidays, keep your bedroom cold again to facilitate that core temperature drop.
Cold and dark.
Keep it pitch black and relentlessly avoid blue light from screens right before bed, which suppresses your melatonin production.
But let me ask you this, because this happens to literally everyone. We are human. We mess up.
Of course.
Well, let's say we stay at the neighborhood party until 2 a.m. We ate the late-night pizza, we drank the late-night wine, the curfew was broken, the damage is done.
Okay, the hypothetical disaster.
Should we try to sleep in the next day until noon to mathematically catch up on our 8 hours? Or should we force ourselves to get up at our normal 7 a.m. wake time?
It's a fantastic question, and it's counterintuitive. You should stick to your normal wake time as closely as physically possible.
Wait, really? Even if it means you're only operating on 4 hours of sleep? You just take the hit.
You take the hit. Because your circadian rhythm, the master biological clock located in the suprachiasmatic nucleus of your brain, is anchored by 2 primary things.
Which are?
Your consistent wake time and your exposure to morning sunlight. If you decide to sleep in until noon to catch up, you are essentially inducing severe jet lag on top of a hangover.
Oh, wow.
You shift your entire biological clock forward by 5 hours.
Which means when Sunday night rolls around.
Exactly. You won't be able to fall asleep at your normal time on Sunday night because your brain thinks it's only 5 p.m.
And now, you haven't just had one bad night.
You have created a cascading pattern of sleep disruption that bleeds right into the work week.
That makes so much sense.
Take the acute hit for one day. Get out of bed, get natural sunlight into your eyes to anchor the circadian rhythm, hydrate aggressively, and get back on your schedule.
Consistency is your anchor in the storm.
Always.
That is incredibly practical advice. Okay, so we've built the tactical armor. We have our intracellular hydration strategy. We are walking to activate our GLUT4 pathways, and we are enforcing strict curfews to protect our circadian rhythm.
We are armored up.
But what is the overarching foundation? What is the baseline protocol that makes all these tactics actually work?
The foundational baseline for this entire 8-week season is what we can call the 80% rule.
The 80% rule.
Your default operating system must be based on eating real, minimally processed, single-ingredient whole foods.
This is what you do when you aren't at the party.
Exactly. When you are at home on a Tuesday, when you are doing your own grocery shopping, meal prepping, or ordering off a menu at a normal business lunch,
You stick to the good stuff.
your default needs to be uncompromising. High-quality meats, sustainably sourced fish, eggs, fibrous vegetables, and healthy fats like avocado and olive oil.
And keeping the engineered, ultra-processed enemies out of your pantry entirely.
Right, so you don't have to fight the dopamine battle in your own kitchen.
I mean, if it's there, you're going to eat it.
Exactly. And the reason this baseline is so critical is that it builds metabolic flexibility.
Okay, metabolic flexibility.
It increases your mitochondrial density and builds a highly resilient gut microbiome. If you build that strong physiological baseline 80% of the time, it grants you the immense psychological and metabolic grace to actually enjoy the other 20%.
The researchers at Ultimate Human emphasize this beautifully. They explicitly state, you are going to enjoy your mom's cooking. You are going to have the pie.
Which is such a relief to hear.
It really is. It acknowledges the deep cultural and emotional weight that food carries during the holidays, rather than demanding monastic restriction.
It does. But the underlying physiological point is that if your baseline is robust, if your cells are highly insulin sensitive from a consistent diet of whole foods, and your gut lining is intact, an acute hit of sugar or a heavy holiday meal will not derail you.
Your body can just handle it.
Your body has the metabolic flexibility to rapidly process the influx of energy, store the glycogen, and seamlessly shift back into fat-burning mode the next day.
The damage only occurs when the acute indulgence is layered on top of a chronic baseline of processed foods and high inflammation.
That's the real danger.
This is the ultimate hack for the holidays. It's not about white-knuckling your way through December and pretending you don't want a cookie.
No one wants to do that.
Right. It is about strategic resilience. You are literally armoring your cellular biology to handle the fun.
That's a great way to phrase it.
And the bold claim from the research here is that if you run these principles even 80% of the time, you will cross the finish line into January without the typical weight gain.
And you will actually possess more energy than you did when you started in November.
That sounds like magic.
It's not magic, it's just biology. And we know this isn't just theoretical. The team over at the Ultimate Human platform has an entire VIP community and a comprehensive 10-month masterclass.
Becoming the ultimate human.
Yes, where they dedicate massive amounts of time teaching these exact deep nutrition principles.
It's a really deep dive over there.
They spend an entire month just analyzing the biochemistry of hidden ingredients, how to structure meal timing, and how to build a plate that optimizes the microbiome.
Which just proves how deep and vital this baseline is.
You are constructing an internal environment that aggressively works for you, rather than constantly fighting against you.
Okay, we have covered a massive expanse of biological terrain today. Let's consolidate the key takeaways for you guys as you head into the season.
Let's do the recap.
The holidays are an 8-week biological gauntlet. The deck is heavily stacked against you.
Yeah.
Casual alcohol consumption chemically sources your liver to abandon fat burning to process the ethanol, while simultaneously destroying your sleep architecture.
The double whammy.
That sleep deprivation triggers a massive spike in ghrelin, sending you into a craving spiral. You are then surrounded by ultra-processed foods, engineered to bypass your physical fullness signals and hijack your dopamine receptors.
And hovering over all of this is the chronic stress.
The chronic stress of the season, spiking your cortisol, which chemically directs fat to your abdomen and causes massive water retention, creating the illusion of rapid weight gain on the scale.
That is the anatomy of the trap.
But you completely flip the script with the protocol. You prehydrate hard with electrolytes and molecular hydrogen.
To activate stretch receptors and proactively neutralize inflammatory free radicals.
Exactly. You take a 10 to 15-minute walk after the heavy meals to mechanically siphon glucose into the muscles, bypassing the pancreas and preventing the insulin dump.
The GLUT4 pathway.
You enforce curfews, capping your alcohol early and stopping food intake 3 hours before bed to allow your core temperature to drop and protect your sleep sanctum.
And above all, you anchor yourself to an 80% whole food baseline.
To build undeniable metabolic flexibility.
If you rigorously execute that protocol, you neutralize the biological threats while maintaining 100% of the social benefits of the season.
Which leads right into a challenge for everyone listening.
Oh, I like a good challenge.
Pick your very next holiday event. Maybe it's a neighborhood mixer this Friday, or maybe it's the big family dinner next week. Commit to running this exact protocol.
Just try it once.
Intracellularly hydrate before you leave. Take the walk after you eat. Set the alcohol curfew and protect your sleep that night. Run the experiment on yourself and just observe how dramatically different you feel the next morning compared to your usual holiday hangover.
I guarantee you will notice a profound shift in your baseline energy, the absence of cravings, and your overall mood.
And as we close out today's deep dive, we want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought. A way to completely reframe everything we've just discussed about the holiday season.
Yes. We have spent this entire hour exploring how the inputs of the holidays, the alcohol, the processed food, the stress biologically hijack your internal signaling.
Right.
But consider this angle. What if we started viewing the actual social connection of the holidays as a potent biological tool?
Ooh, I love where this is going. Tell me more.
We tend to view the social obligations as the source of the stress. But we know from extensive neurobiological research that genuine positive social interaction and feelings of deep human connection are incredibly powerful interventions.
So?
When you engage in meaningful connection, your brain releases oxytocin.
The love hormone.
Right. Oxytocin is a powerful buffer against the HPA axis. It rapidly and drastically lowers circulating cortisol levels. It literally chemically counteracts the stress response.
So, if you actively reframe your mindset heading into these parties, if you intentionally focus intensely on the joy of the people around you, the depth of the conversations, the actual human connection, rather than quietly ruminating over the macros on the buffet table or stressing over your flight home,
Yes.
could that mental shift alone physically change how your body metabolizes the entire event?
Could the deliberate act of true connection be the ultimate foundational cortisol-lowering protocol?
Wow.
It is a fascinating biological reality to consider the next time you walk into a crowded room.
I love that. Because at the beginning of this, we talked about how looking at holiday weight gain and fatigue is like looking at a shattered, murky X-ray.
It's not a clean break.
No. It is a messy, intertwined web of hormones, stress, and engineered environments. But armed with this protocol, and armed with a deep understanding of how your cellular biology actually responds to these inputs, you can finally read the X-ray.
You really can.
You can clearly see where the traps are laid, and you can simply choose to walk right around them. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Stay curious, armor up, build that metabolic flexibility, and truly enjoy the season with the people you love. We'll see you next time.